Hello, hello, hello. This is Tracy K here. Welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Bank. Today is a great day. We always have a great discussion plan. And of course, everything is about money. But before we talk about that and what we're going to be talking about today, I want to introduce myself. For those of you who haven't been on previous broadcasts, I'm Tracy K. I am a serial entrepreneur, meaning I do more than one thing. So let's not get confused. I help people in different ways. One of the ways I help them is I help plan their travel and help them protect that travel. I also am a certified personal color analyst. I help people discover their best colors. So, I do a lot of things. I encourage you to do a lot of things too, but I digress. I'm so excited to be introducing our next guest because she's here to talk about something that might have touched all of you, especially if you own a business. When you start a business, you want to market that business, you want to get more business. So you might have signed up for a course or two or three and then said, oh my goodness, I signed up for this course and they made these promises. I didn't get what I was supposed to have. And so, I've been there and I'm sure some of you have been there. So we're here to talk about how to get real help with no gimmicks. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest. Let me bring her on the screen so you can see her. This is Deanna Seymour, and I always like to say this is the queen of the GIF, the GIF. Those pictures you see when people are doing all this stuff like this, And she's the queen of the gift, and she knows how to use it to help you market your business. But we'll talk about that. But I always like to say, getting giffy with it. Anyway, Deanna, go ahead. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. I love that. I love that intro. Best intro ever. I'm Deanna Seymour. I'm a graphic designer and content marketing expert. And I help people show up in their business in a way that's really natural and fun for them, and also really connects them to their ideal clients so that they can, grow their business and have fun doing it.
Okay, so let's talk about the things that have happened to you. Now, you're doing well with this. I mean, you have, and I will say this about Deanna. I mean, she lives out loud. Later on, I'll show you her website, but I mean, she is the woman of color. I mean, she is, but she is so uniquely intertwined with what she does, but it didn't happen overnight. So let's talk about, we're talking about our subject today, how to, if you took a sales course and you expected these results, we want to talk about how people can actually get a hold of things that help them without being taken advantage of. So let's talk about your story, which I think is really interesting.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So my story is that I came from a background of teaching. So I was an art teacher for almost 15 years. I think I kind of lost track. So I didn't really know. I was like, oh, I don't know about this business stuff, but I knew I could do the graphic design. I knew I could help people with photography and all the visuals. So that was like what I went to school for and my whole career. But the business part was the part that really, I guess I felt a little more unprepared for or nervous about. So what do we do, especially as a teacher, when you don't understand something or you feel intimidated by something? You look for knowledge on that subject.
Absolutely.
So I went looking for information and found courses, right? And courses that would say, we're going to help you build this business. One of the courses in the, I know, right? Like, and it's going to be so easy. And it's like, bingo, bango, you're going to make all your money back and be like a millionaire, all these promises. And one of the first ones that I sort of fell for, I guess, because I do sort of feel duped. I feel like I fell for it. And it was a course about selling your knowledge online. So I was like, in hindsight, I'm like, I was a teacher. I know how to teach. Why did I sign up for that? And at the time we had a 3-year-old daughter. I was pregnant with my son, and my husband was in the hospital because he has Crohn's disease and he was having a resectioning. And it was just a really stressful time. I had gotten some sort of scary test results for my pregnancy, which thank goodness ended up being wrong. But it was just a really weird, stressful time in our lives. And you know, when someone's in the hospital and you don't have a ton of money in savings, you start feeling like, okay, what is this bill going to be? How much is this going to be?
Yeah.
And there's a baby on the way who might also need medical attention. Like, it was just, I was in a scary place. And teaching full time. He was at the hospital, so taking care of the 3-year-old, teaching full time, knowing that I wasn't really in love with teaching anymore and I wanted to do something on my own. And I just feel like all of that together was just like the perfect storm for this webinar, this free webinar that I signed up for, right? Because that's sometimes how they get you in the funnel.
Oh boy.
And so just come and listen, just a little fun little free webinar. And I went and I watched it and I kind of thought, you know what, this is cheesy. Like, this feels like an infomercial. I'm not going to do it. I'm a teacher. Like, I know what to do. And then I was in the funnel, right? So I kept getting the emails and I kept getting reminded and I kept getting told that, oh, and we're adding this bonus and we'll also do this for you. And if you sign up by this date, you get this and da 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 da. And, you know, it was still like percolating, and it kind of kept getting the emails, and it was the last day and the cart was closing. And I was like, okay, I have to make this decision. Like, I'm going to get this. My husband's in the hospital, mind you. So I did not talk to him about it because I was like, I'm going to miss my opportunity to get in this course. So it was a $2,000 course, which as a teacher, like, that's my whole paycheck for a whole month.
That's all. Yeah.
Like, I mean, even if you take out daycare we paid for, it was probably 2 months of me working. And I just bought it and was like, okay, I'm going to take the leap. Like, I'm going to believe in myself. You know, they say stuff like that too. Like, if you really want to succeed, like, if you invest in yourself and all this language. And I, you know, looking back, I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. I can't believe I fell for it. But it's what it's designed to do. So it did its job. And I remember going to the hospital to visit my husband and telling him, like, hey, I bought this course. You know, it was $2,000. I mean, luckily I have a great husband, so he wasn't mad at me. It's like, you know, when your parents say, like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. And that almost is like,
and that makes you just feel worse. Then they just got mad.
Yeah. And he was like really upset. I feel like kind of like tears welling up because we didn't have $2,000. So it was just a big decision I made without consulting him.
Okay.
And so
and this was probably the Giphy. This was probably the Giphy. Tell me if I'm right. When you told him, he started to say something like, and then he went.
Yeah. I mean, he was just like, oh my gosh, what did you do? You know, and also it had a money back guarantee. So I was like, it's okay. You know, I have 30 days to figure it out, but 30 days was not enough time for me to.
And they count on that too. Let's make that point.
So I told him, like, it's okay. I can get my money back if I need to, but I was kind of at that point, you know, hooked and like, okay, this is going to work. I'm going to print all my workbooks. I'm going to do all my stuff. And I, as a lifelong learner and a teacher, I did do my work. I watched all the modules. I printed all the things. I did the activities. But I did not get rich. I did not get rich overnight. And I didn't get much from it, to be honest. It was a lot of fluff. It was a lot of, you know, it wasn't a lot of tactical information about how I needed to do it.
No. And see, this is part of it. It's sort of like my mother-in-law. This is what I liken it to. My mother-in-law had a friend, and my mother-in-law wanted a recipe from this friend. And the friend would give her this recipe, but then deliberately leave out an ingredient. And it's like, just tell her you don't want to give it to her.
Yeah.
And so it's like, look, if you're making all this money, it's like, well, I'll just sell them just this, but I'm not going to tell them what I'm really doing. Because see, it's what they're really doing that they're not telling you.
Well, because also, I mean, and this is just one example. It's funny you brought that up because now I'm really spilling the tea. Okay. So also that course, I also bought from an affiliate. So the people who did the course, I had never really knew about, whatever. 2 men too, which is not usually my style, but I followed a woman who was an affiliate for them. And so she said, I will, you know, make a Facebook group and help everyone through this course in 30 days. In 30 days, by the time, you know, making it seem safe too for the return. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, that's why she said in 30 days, we'll go through it and I'll help you. I'll mentor you guys in this small Facebook group, which was about 1,000 people. And this person is kind of a celebrity entrepreneur, I guess. She has a pretty famous podcast and stuff. So I thought, oh, ooh, if I am in a group with her with just 1,000 people, I thought that would help. But what was I going to say? The point is, in the group, she said something, and she said, oh, I don't usually tell people this because, so she kind of told us not to tell, which here I go, that she joined a mastermind for $20,000. And that is when her business really took off.
Bait and hook.
But like, here's the thing too, is like her intro in her podcast talks about how she's just like a small town girl who spent $300 on a camera and got famous, like makes it sound like, oh, I could do that. If her podcast started by saying, I'm a small town girl who paid 20 grand to be in a thing, I'd be like, well, I can't do that. I don't even have 2 grand. I don't have 20 grand. I can't do it. So they purposely kind of make it sound like, oh, anybody can do it. But when you dig a little deeper, you're like, oh, but you also paid 20 grand to be in this. And like, who knows what else? That's just the one thing she told us, that she also kind of said, like, don't tell people. And so that's also, like you're saying, like, you're kind of skipping some parts of this equation.
Well, see, they get you in, like, and in my experience, and you probably saw the same thing. Oh, well, here's a free something. And then they upsell you to something that's $7. They do like the low sell. And then it's like, oh, but for this, we'll give you this. So it might be $50. And then it goes up from there, and you keep getting, and then you feel like it's like the fear of missing out, FOMO. That's where they get you. So psychologically, they get you the fear of missing out. If you don't do this, you're going to miss the boat.
Yeah.
The other thing is they try to make you feel, and it's a whole psychological thing. If this has happened to you, don't blame yourself, because you just wanted to be successful and you were trying to get information from somebody who you thought had it. And it was right to you to pay somebody for their knowledge, because after all, we're business owners. I don't expect somebody to tell me what they're doing for free, but don't lie to me. Don't lie to me and then talk to you. I mean, I know people thousands of dollars later, as you well know. Let me tell you, I'll talk about myself. Okay. If I had all the money that I had ever spent on some of these courses, I could afford Bill Gates' car at the very least. I could afford his car.
My business would have been profitable a lot sooner had I not kept kind of investing, because that wasn't my first course. I mean, that was my first course, but it wasn't my last one.
Because they keep you going. It keeps going. It keeps going. But now, and see, this is what the thing is. Nobody seems to get to the solution. It's like, this is why you see all these people. And let's talk about, okay, I'm going to put the Taraji P. Henson face back on. Okay, so that was funny on her gift. She was so funny. Anyway, she goes, okay, so these famous people, don't think because they have a following that they're necessarily honest. I hate to say this, but there's a lot of dishonest people out there. And they will take your money and go out and buy that Lambo and not think 2 pins about you. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. So now, you know what? Now we just talked, we called these people out. Yeah, you crooks out there, we've been victims. And this is why we're together today. We want to bust up the myth. We want to help you get to what's real out there that can help you. Because that's not the other thing. See, what I love about Deanna is that she came out of a place where you heard thousands of dollars plus other things. I mean, I'm sure it's like, you think about how much money you spent. Now you're at a place where you know what to do and you are helping people to do it.
Yes.
So let's talk about, it's like, okay, Tracy, you told us the problem. We've been taken advantage of. Now, what's the solution? What's the first thing we want to look for when we're looking for help? Real help.
Well, I feel like, first of all, I think lots of people can run I have learned also that you can run your business many, many, many different ways. So there's not just like one magical person who's going to tell you exactly what to do. And I also think just because it worked for someone doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you for whatever reason. I mean, like for me, I'm super silly in my marketing and I'm not scared to show up and just be silly. But like for someone who's not ever been silly, that's not going to work for them. So for me to try to like put my exact formula or strategy on someone else, I just don't think it's going to work unless it matches up and they're like, oh, I'm funny too. This feels good to me. Then it could. So I think really honestly finding people that can take the time to get to know you, which as a former teacher is funny to me, like all these online courses where the people call themselves teachers, call their customers students. And coming from a teaching background, I'm like, you don't know my name. You don't know anything about my business. You don't know anything about me to actually help me figure this out.
But that's what you do.
Yes.
So
well,
even though, yeah, you have pink hair and you live out loud with color,
mhm,
but you are able to talk to people and
yes.
understand what they need.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
won't come out looking like Deanna with the pretty pink hair when you're done. You still yourself, but what you do is you get to, that's the first thing. So we
Yeah.
want somebody that is willing to sit down with you and understand your business and objectives and where you need help.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. And so for me personally, like I do feel like a lot of those courses and business mentors that I've been in contact with do try to teach you also how to sell like one to many. Like it's going to be so easy. Like don't really get to know anybody because you don't have time for that. Like you can't actually, take the time to do that. You just have to get their money and like move them through the funnel and keep taking money. So for me, I run my business very differently. Like I work mostly one-on-one with my clients and help
Yeah.
them,
Yes.
with anything from the PDF lead magnet to gifts to, the images on their website. But I need to know them and I need to understand their vision and what they're doing. And that takes time. So it's not like the answer is only buy cheap stuff, like save your money. It's like where you're spending money, make sure that that person, even if it's a course or coaching, that they're going to meet with you and like know your name. I always laugh. I have a first grader. And if she came home from school and was like, oh, my teacher doesn't know my name, I'd be like, your teacher doesn't know your name? That's wild. Like I'm calling the principal right now, like something's wrong with your teacher. But yet online and in online business, we kind of accept that as being just like a face.
And we shouldn't. And we
No.
shouldn't. Okay. And that's, yeah. And that brings up a good point because I help people too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing. Anything I've done, all of the businesses that I do, not that I don't have many, a couple businesses, but yeah. In each one of them, I have a one-to-one relationship with people. I have to be able to, I've been told, oh, you should be able to just do this and you want all of this. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to help somebody, you need to know what it is that they want and need before you can help them.
Yeah.
And some website that's trying to shove you through something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, let's clear something up here.
Yeah.
I have bought stuff from websites that have been fed to me through a landing page, but that's okay. It might have been a product, what is that stuff? The coffee that's not coffee, that's whatever, one of the new coffees, whatever. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
if it's like how to do heart surgery on your dog, I have a problem.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah. Well,
or
and
I'm going to help
think
you make $1 million. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's like, how much is it? For me, like, I still think it's cash grab and like not honest to just sell somebody even a, $9 course that's not really going to help them. But at least it's not a $2,000 course that's not going to help them. So for me, you can kind of level and based on your own income or whatever, like your risk, like how is this going to be okay? Like, do I have to put this on a credit card or can I like pay for this? And is it going to stress out my family budget or not? Or my business, is this going to put me in the red in my business? So I think too, sometimes it's okay to be like, all right, I'm going to buy this course. I still buy courses and because I like learning. But I will say that even sometimes I buy one that's 50 and I sort of am like, that could have been a YouTube video. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm like, wait,
exactly.
Why did I pay for that? Because you forget. Because another thing we could talk about if you want to is sales pages. Because I think that's really where I'm like, when I end up being like, why did I buy this? I could have just Googled it. It's because I was on a sales page that sounded really
and it was
good.
right there and the information was right there. Let me just bring up something you just mentioned, the $9 course. Now, something that I love that you do. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this up right now so people can see it. Of course, my mouse decided to act up at the moment. So let me go to Deanna Seymour. And I am going to, why are we doing this one? Ticker. Oh, really? Of course it's going to do this to me right now. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get it to scroll. Save. Okay, show. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
I like it. I like it.
Technical difficulties. Anyway, here's what's cool about Deanna that I really loved. You know, she has a course for $9 and she calls it Steal This Course. If you go directly to that page /courses, deannaseymour.com/courses, she has it where you have the option to pay her $9 for the course, or you can just steal it. She'll give it to you for free. And this talks about all of the pitfalls and how to avoid them from when you buy business courses. So I thought that was really unique and it just very giving. It makes me, it's like, you know what? I'm going to trust somebody that wants to do this. And a matter of fact, just a little plug here for Deanna. I took one of her courses. She's the queen of the gift, getting giphy with it. Anyway, she's the queen of the gift. Now, you may or may not want to use these in your business, but I learned a lot about how to create one to use if I wanted to for, say, a video or, you know, anything at all. And it's just really cool. And it wasn't that much money, but it was a lot of information. And what I love about you is you're short and you're sweet. It's like I can get through the training and it's not like a tome, like, oh my gosh, my teeth are going to be in a cup by the time I'm finished.
Yeah.
I want to just be able to do that. So I just wanted to plug that. And so, yeah, we still want to buy courses, but now we were going to talk about sales pages. And I don't always think they're bad. I think landing pages can be good for something. But what we want to be, when we're looking at, okay, let's make believe that we're teaching somebody what to look for on a page. So we've gotten to this landing page and everything sounds great on this page. And they say, okay, we'll take this free course. I'm like, okay, I'll do this for free. But then when they pop something up, it says, and for another X dollars, that's when your antenna needs to go up.
Yes.
Because they're starting to suck you into the vortex.
I know one of my, when I recorded the course for Steal This Course, I did an online Zoom chat where people could come and be anonymous and share their stories. So someone on that Zoom call said that she fell into a funnel. And I just think that's like the perfect way to say it, is like, you're like Alice in Wonderland. You think you're just like peeking at something. It was free. And then boom, you're just like, find yourself in this funnel and all these other offers are coming at you. And a lot of times there's a timer.
You to death.
Yeah. I mean, or like you have to pick now. This is expiring. This is, and you're just like, okay.
And then they come at you. And then I love it. Just to show you, and people are, I mean, I've had some people like, you know, if you don't do it, then you get all these emails. Oh, here's this next offer. Oh, we've extended it. Oh, I mean, it's just, and you just want to lose your mind. So the first thing is when you see that, it's like, because to me, an honest sales page, and tell me if you agree with this, an honest sales page is going to say, this is what this is. Check this out. If you want it, it's this. That's it. You don't have to get anything else. And then you can actually, I want to see what it is, because the thing that really gets me, okay, Tracy's on her soapbox now. Okay,
like
you get on,
I'm here for
and
it.
you can get on it with me. You're here for it. Okay.
Too.
The one thing that irritates me is like, if you're going to present me with something on a landing page, sales page, tell me what it is. Don't like, you know, it's this. And then if you want to find out this, you have to do this. I'm like, no, you're a dishonest boo-boo head. Don't do that to me.
I feel like
not honest.
Yeah. They always say, like when people, I've taken courses or watched videos or just heard from people like, on a sales page, you should sell the outcome and not the features. But I think when it's too heavy-handed on these outcomes that honestly, they don't know. They don't know what's going to happen if I take this course. It starts to get into murky waters.
And then they make these promises. They make these, oh, you can do this and you'll explode this and blah, 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 that. And I'm like,
look at these testimonials that prove it, right? Like usually they'll have testimonials of other people saying,
oh, I have a story about that. Okay, so let me spill I'm dropping some dimes. Okay, so let me spill the tea on the testimonials. I knew of a person who had put one of these things together, and it was interesting to find this out. Now, unfortunately, I fell prey to this, but I learned later. Another one of those things.
Yeah.
So the testimonials they had were all the little friends that they had that were doing it with them. Those were not real testimonials. You see testimonials, I don't care who it is, take it with a grain of salt. If somebody really wants to do something, like with me, anybody can ask me for references and I can give them to them. Real people who deal with me can tell you how I am and how I've done. If you see 50 of these on the page, it's like, that's nice. And half the time, the people who did all this stuff, they aren't making any money.
Well,
they're trying to make,
like you see something, it's, $3,500 and there's a testimonial, and then you find out later it's like their friend and they were the case study or like the tester, a beta round, and they didn't pay or something. There's always, not always.
Plus they told them, anybody that's telling you, now think about this for one hot minute. If somebody's making millions of dollars on something, why are they going to put that out there and try to sell it to you? I mean, because it's like, oh, well, they just want me to know. Bull crap. That's some BS. And I guarantee you, half the time when they're selling you this mess, there's stuff they're doing they're not telling you. Yeah. So the first things we know, we want a sales page that's honest and that spells it out, and this is the cost. No more, if you see little, do this by this time, run for your life.
Yeah, and if you can't find the price.
If you can't find the price, forget it.
Yeah.
And then if somebody's really something, if you're concerned, don't be afraid to ask them for references. Direct people that you can talk to and ask questions about. And half the time they're going to go, read the testimonials on my page. No. So that's the other way not to get taken. And then I think the third, let's roll into this one. We have to, as business owners, we need to understand something. I think the number one thing that keeps us all coming is because we're all looking for more clients. We need more people to talk to keep business going. And we need to, and how do we do that? And how do we reach the people that we want to talk to? And this is how we can fall into this trap. Oh, you can get hundreds of leads and prospects without doing anything, and they'll just beat a path to your door and they just can't wait to hand you money. And the truth of the matter is, let's spill it out for them. There's ways to get, people, information for people that might be interested in your service, but you have to have a way of reaching out to them that's going to speak to them. And they don't tell you all that stuff.
People they make it sound so fast and so easy.
Oh, easy. And it's like 5 to 7 touches before somebody will, you have to learn how to, and that's the skill that we have to learn. It's like, okay, how do you get somebody to respond? They may not respond the first time you send an email or whatever it is that you're going to be doing, or the first time they see your website. They may take a few times to do it.
Yes.
And it might take a year. I had somebody I talked to, a year ago? I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden they called me and said, okay, I need to talk to you about blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, that was a year ago.
Yeah.
And so we all have to be patient and understand it's not going to happen overnight. And the successes that you see that people have, the true successes, is because they have really been working at it for a while.
Yes.
I'm talking about honest people. Okay. Not crooks, honest people.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say too really fast is in when I was recording Steal This Course in the group session.
Yeah.
I asked, like, what advice would you give your former self, about all this? And almost everyone was saying, slow down. Like, why was I trying to go so fast? Like, I didn't need to build my business in 2 seconds. And I mean, we're all excited to do it and we want to get those clients and we want to start making money. But like we were saying, buying the courses is kind of putting you more in the hole, which is going to take you longer to become profitable. When if you just sort of started showing up consistently and like working, which I know all the sales pages act like you're a sucker if you're going to work hard. All the sales pages are like, you don't have to work.
Do all this. I mean,
like, you got to work and just kind of be patient and take it day by day, which is it doesn't sound very cool and easy and fun. But if you build your business in a way that is fun for you and doesn't get you stressed out, then it can be fun. Like I like showing up at work every day, which is not what I liked at the end of my teaching career,
And
So
you brought a good point. Okay, so one thing is that you have to be authentic. Now, I work with somebody as a coach who
Mhm.
always tells me, Tracy, if something does not resonate with you, if it's going to be against, if you feel like, oh, do I have to do this
Mhm.
business or whatever that is, if it's not authentically you, it's going to mess up. I mean, it's just going to do that. You have to do business in a way that is, and you have to do the types of businesses that kind of resonate with you. And here's the thing. Okay, this is one. See if you agree with this one. I think a lot of times we get into these situations is because we see something and it looks like a way to make money,
Mhm.
and it looks like a way to make it faster than what you normally would make it. And
Mhm.
so we're like, gee, I'd like to be able to pay for this. I'd like to be able to plan for that. So we jump into these things without any thought of whether or not it really is authentic for us
Mhm.
as people. So I've
Yeah.
gotten into businesses where it's not that they're always bad,
Mhm.
but it's just that it's not who you are. It doesn't resonate with and so that's the thing. So we have to take a breath and go, wait a minute, ask yourself, is this something that really makes me feel comfortable? If you
Mhm.
feel the slightest check about something, just step back a minute and go, figure out why it's bothering you. Because it
Mhm.
just might be that it's not always a bad thing, but it just may not be for you. And
Yeah.
some of these things where they tell you, hurry up and make the money, that's when you should run the other way, because anybody with a business will tell you, hey, things may come, but don't expect it overnight. You're going to have to work. You have to do a lot of planting and sowing before you reap. And
Yeah.
sometimes the reaping will be greater than other times. Things can be up or down, but it takes time. Any business owner will tell you it takes time to get to certain places. And we're an instant society, right? Don't you
Mhm.
find that that's happened? This is a lot of the reason why we get suckered into things, because everything is so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, the news, it happens, and 2 seconds later, you know about it.
Mhm.
You can get your coffee in 2 seconds. If you don't want to go to, you get overnight delivery. I mean, sometimes you can get 2-hour delivery. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so we're in a very instant society.
Yeah.
I grew up in a time, when we had rotary phones and people don't even know what those are anymore. But I mean, it took a while
Yeah.
to do things, but now it's like quick, 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 quick.
Well, I'm no spring chicken. I remember I talk about this because now that I have a kid, when I was in elementary school, I feel like I did a project on Texas and we were living in North Carolina, but I had to write a letter to the Chamber of Commerce in Texas and they mailed me an envelope with a bunch of brochures. I checked some library books out, but it's like now you would just go on Google if you were a kid in
Exactly.
elementary
We
school, but I
didn't
had to
have that.
wait and I was so excited to get my packet. But I think there's something to be said for that because that's way more exciting and what a great memory for me as opposed to being Googling Texas and
Oh, you
reading
Google it now. You can
Yeah.
go anywhere and get information. I mean,
Mhm.
no, I mean, back in the day, when you picked up the phone, it was a long distance phone call if I wanted to call somebody in another state, and it cost money.
I know,
So
right?
you
We would
couldn't
do
just and so we
once a
had to
week,
write
maybe.
letters. We had to write letters back and forth. Now it's like email, it's 2 seconds later. And so
Mhm.
that's part of it. We live in such an instant society where it's like, okay, quick, quick, quick. I want it now. I want it now. But business doesn't work like that.
Mm-mm.
People have to know you, like you, trust you. So don't feel like foolish, you know, because you go on a sales site and it's like, well, gee, if I don't do this, I'm going to miss out. No, you're not.
Mm-mm.
The only thing you're going to miss out on is the money missing out of your bank account.
Yes.
Don't fall for those suckers. Only look at something if, one, they spell it out, this is what it is, and this is how much it cost. And if
Mhm.
they don't tell you those two things, and if you can't see everything there is about it and make a decision that way, forget it.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Another thing I like to tell people too is to everybody talks about shopping small, like just when it comes to your local cafes or your local toy stores or
Yep.
whatever, shopping small. But then it seems like online and entrepreneurship, we want to learn from the millionaires. We want to learn from the biggest of the biggest. but that definitely makes you just a tiny, insignificant dot in their revenue. Whereas if you shopped small for courses and there's only 10 people in the course, the teacher will probably know your name and get to know you and know your business. And you're probably going to get the same amount of information. You're just going to get more one-on-one, because really, from my experience,
Yeah.
the people way up here, like you said, they're not giving away any secrets. They're not really teaching anything. It's
They're
all
not
fluff.
telling you what their secret sauce
They're
is.
not, they're not telling you, the big top secret industry secrets. If anything, they're just teaching you the basics of whatever it is. You know, I signed up for teaching a course online. It was like, record your modules, put your stuff. It's all like, looking back, I'm like, I knew how to do that. Like, a lot of times if you just sit down and think, okay, this is what I want to do, what would I need to do that? You know, it's like, I have to find a place to put my course. I have to,
And you did you did it beautifully too.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness, she's short, sweet, to the point. You can understand her, and then you go on to the next one, and then it's like, oh, this was great. And then I always have access to it. I mean, and exactly right. If you think about it, give yourself credit for things that you can do. And and some of the time, if you just, if you have the patience, you can hunt around for it. But if you want information, it doesn't hurt. Like one thing that I have found helpful is that you can hire a coach. Like, for example, they could hire you. And the nice thing about it is most coaches work per hour. So you can try things out for a bit. You don't have to get in and spend all of this money. And then just to see, and lots of times people will offer you, like, I'll give you a 15, 20-minute consultation to see if I can help you. I do that with travel and everything too, to see if I can be of any help. And if I can, I try to. And so you do that too. So it just sort of gives people a chance to get to know you a little bit, to see if they want to work with you, and you can, and see if they can help you. And I'm sorry, but nothing against Tony Robbins or anybody like him, but he's just not going to do that.
No.
Not unless you roll up with a check with a lot of zeros behind it.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with the man, but I'm just saying, you just aren't going to get up there.
No.
And, or it's better, hey, if somebody's been in the trenches and they can help you and they know what they're doing, hey.
Yeah. Well, and if you're looking to, like, I just talked this morning with a gal who sets people up with CRMs, like Dubsado. So she knows that. She's not, a celebrity like Tony Robbins, but she can actually help you do that as well as anybody else, I'm sure. I mean, I feel confident in her skills after talking to her, but it's like, you don't need the biggest, most famous person. Like, if I was going to go take music lessons, I wouldn't sign up with, I don't know, I was trying to think of a famous artist. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, somebody from The Voice. I'm going to go to my local music shop and, like, meet with somebody who will get to know me. So
go to where you can get the information.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the library. And, and one thing we are blessed with a lot is the ability to do a lot of searching online. And sometimes, like, I've done things, it's like, oh, I see that I can, read about this a little bit, but if I get a little confused about something, I have no trouble seeking out an expert to help me. And there's a lot of good people like you and me out there. Yes, we're good people. We're honest people that will help you. That we have businesses that can help you. And there's other business owners out there who are equally. So yeah, shop small, and don't feel like, don't let somebody's celebrity, overwhelm you. Oh, wow. They made all this money. And what I really love is when they show their Lambos and their big houses online too. I'm like, you rented that car, please.
I know. Well, and then it's funny because, like, they kind of, I feel like then they have all these, like, mini-me's running around too, right? Who aren't, like you're saying, like, rent the Lambo. So you think, oh, well, they learned it and they're doing it. But it can all be like a house of cards. Like you're saying.
House of mirrors.
Yeah, house of mirrors, whatever. Like, it's not, I mean, it could be. See, I still have trouble, but I'm like you. I know you said it feels weird to say, like, people will just lie. It feels, I'm like, coming into this, I'm like, what? Like, the course I signed up for while my husband was in the hospital, that deadline, later I found out it was like evergreen. So I could go back. Like, and I was like, they lied. Like, they made me do that and make that decision without my husband. And it never even dawned on me that the doors weren't closing.
And it's taking advantage of people. So like I said, we just want to tell people, don't feel bad.
Yeah.
It's happened to all of us. And you know what? Forgive yourself. Okay.
Yes.
But just understand that it's easy for them, especially when you have maybe financial pressure on yourself or you're concerned about the future. Take a breath and just say,
Mhm.
you know what? I can learn whatever it is. And there are people who can teach me. But this is what I need to look for. Are they straight up and honest about what they're offering? You
Mhm.
have a web page, you have offerings for your courses. And let me share Deanna's webpage too. Let me just put that on there, show. Okay, so this is Deanna's webpage. If you go there, get ready to be wowed by the color and the excitement. It's like Technicolor. You expect trumpets to jump out any second.
Yeah.
I mean, but she's the thing about it is that there's a lot of information on her page. And you can go and which everything is spelled out. There
Mhm.
is no, well, if you just give me $5, I'll tell you this over here. Well, now
Mhm.
these days it's more like $100
Or
bucks.
or
Yeah.
like fill out this application to talk more about, like, if you've ever been like for coaching or something and they say fill out an application, but they don't have the price anywhere. I'm like, you know what the coaching costs. Like, why are you not saying it? Like, that is so weird to me, but it's just a tactic to get you a little bit more in. And you talked about FOMO setting in when you're like buying little stuff, and then and then there's also that mind trick of like, well, I've already committed to this, so I should
Hmm.
keep going, or like I've already bought this and I've been working with this person, so I should keep going with the same person. There's a psychology
Yeah.
trick for that.
And you
Yeah.
don't have to do that either. Now, I will say this. I've seen coaching pages and such where they'll say, please fill this out and we'll talk and see if it's a fit.
Good fit.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
Well,
long as
yeah.
I know that it's just we're just going to talk about it, and then I can make up my mind whether or
hmm
not I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But
Well, and sometimes
people,
like people do custom work, so it's hard to say exactly how
yeah,
much this is gonna be, so you have to, like, hop on a call, but I think it's nice when they at least give a starting point or something, like, when you start to feel you start to feel that, I feel like they're hiding, like, when you start to feel like they're
exactly.
hiding
So
something.
in other words, trust your gut.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when you go to someone's web page, and you know what it is, you just know, you get this feeling in your gut when things are not open.
mhm,
Like, you don't feel like it's like, well, where's this information? If you feel like you just have to, like, I like your page, it's like I'm an open book. And
mhm,
you tell people when you talk about steal a course that you have, that I put the link to, if you go to courses on her webpage, if you go there, let me show this one again. Okay, so if you go there, you'll see steal the course, and you're very open about, hey, this is what happened to me.
mhm.
So you can pay me $9 for it, or you can just take it.
I
And I've
know,
never
I just thought that was so funny, I just think I'm funny, and then I'm like, "Wait, is the joke on me? Because now people can steal it," but I really do care about people, and I'm like, "If you've
but
already
see,
been
that
burned,
comes through.
like,
That
have
comes
it,"
through.
Yeah, but it's just funny because 'cause I'm sure all those rich celebrity people would be like, "Why are you can't let people steal your course," and I'm like, "Meh, I think it's fine. I think it's funny."
Well, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with giving your best stuff away. Like, I don't mind you give people information. I share people information all the time. Some of which sometimes it's like, you could use me, but it's better if you do this, and this is how you do this. And they're like, wow, you actually told me that. I'm like, yeah, I told you
Yeah.
that. Because
Mhm.
you know what? I'd rather you trust me, as maybe you'll think about me later when you go to do whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't, it's like you give away, the people who really are sincere are going to give you information up front. They're going to give you value, and then you can decide whether or not you want to transact business with them. And
Yeah.
so we really, like I said, I don't have trouble with all landing pages depending on what it is.
Mhm.
But if it's stuff like when you start seeing stuff, oh, but for another, I'll give you this. And if you do this, then you'll get this. And oh, and you get the whole package for this. I'm like, you know what? You've got to go.
Yeah, or
That will,
one time someone told me we could hop on a call, and they said the price, but I would have to decide that day or else it would go up, and I was like, "Well, that makes me just automatically I don't I don't want to
You
do
turn
your
that
thing.
into
Like,
my
why?
pocketbook.
Yeah, like,
Do
why
you
are
have,
you
I
pushing
asked him,
me?
do you have your Lambo on order already? Come
I
on.
know.
By the way, I don't want a Lambo. Sorry.
Me neither.
It's too small for my dogs. No. And I just want, no, I just, all kidding aside though, it's like you can always, if you get that feeling somebody's just out after what they can get from you, listen to your intuition. It's not wrong.
Yeah. Well, you know
So
what's interesting too is I also in my business journey started just thinking like how much money do I actually need? How much
thank
money do
you.
I want? You know, like what would be cool? What would I always joke that I wanted a lake house because that first person that I bought the course from, the affiliate lady, has a lake house. So I was, oh, that's like the ultimate. And I do. My grandpa had a little mobile home by the lake that we'd go to in the summer. So I like a lake. I was like, oh, I want to have. Now I'm like, you know what? I don't want to maintain a second home. I just want to have money to go on a lake vacation sometimes, you know? So thinking about like, well, how much money do I actually want to make took a lot of pressure off me because I was like, oh, okay, so I need this many clients. Like I don't have to hustle and grind and be dishonest and try to grow this multi-million-dollar
And you make
business.
such a great point. Oh my gosh, thank you for bringing that up because I thought the same thing. It is a great deal of pressure. Like, and you know what I'm talking about. You read these sales things and oh, I made $1 million and whatever. And then you put, they tell you now, think positively within 12 months, write this down as a goal. You're going to make $1 million. You know what that makes you feel? A great amount of pressure.
Yeah.
You know what? If you really sit down and think about, well, what is it that I really need to have? Or what is it, it's like, oh, well, what if I just made an extra couple of thousand, maybe 500, $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, because, and this is one thing I talk about, multiple streams of income, this is why I do more than one thing. I enjoy them. But, that way you can say, okay, this is, and then it's like, oh, well, when I put them together, this is doable. This helps me now. It helps me in the future. Don't worry, as long as you have breath, you can do something. I mean, and just take the pressure off yourself. Stop looking at these people with all this money. And it's like, well, I'm going to get to $1 million and I'm going to,
Six figures, 7 figures.
I had to step away. I mean, part of what I do is I also sell insurance. I mean, as a travel agent, I sell travel insurance, but I also have an insurance license. Okay, so I can sell life insurance, all this other stuff. But, I had to step away from the people I was working with because it was like, well, if you get this many a month and do this and do that, I'm like, back up. First of all, no, I don't operate like that. I cannot be what you want me to be. I was stressing myself out. I said, no, I'm not going to do that.
Because the idea too sometimes is like once you make the millions, you can relax, like you're free, you get freedom. I heard someone on social media shared this little story one time about a fisherman who went out and caught what he needed for the day and then was like chilling on the dock. And then like an investor came around and was like, what are you doing? Why are you just sitting there? And he was like, well, I already caught what I needed. And the investor was like, you need to go catch more. And he was like, why? So you can hurry up, you can build more wealth, and then you can get a bigger boat and you can make more fish and you can, sell more fish. And they said, why? And he goes, because then once you get enough, like once you make so much money, you can chill. And the fisherman was like, I'm chilling right now. And that was a story that I was like, oh, you don't have to make millions of dollars before you can chill. Like right now, I just filled out paperwork to be a chaperone at my kids' field trip. Like, I don't want to build a business where I have to work every day, all day, and like work all the time. And then I guess when my kids are gone and I retire, then I can chill. Like, I'm going to, mix it in. My chilling is mixed in right now so that I can actually live my life. So,
and that's good to, let's see. We have a question. Okay. So it has to do with, sorry, my eyes are old. I have to squint and read it, has to do with work-life balance. Like particularly would say when you own a business, how do you separate and, keep all areas of your life balance? And I think you gave a great point here with start. So let's talk about that. I just got the best advice ever yesterday from somebody I work with. She works 3 days a week
Ooh.
And she's in Uruguay. And when she and I first started talking, she was in Mexico. Then she ended up in Peru. Then she was in Argentina. Now
Oh my
she's
gosh.
in Uruguay. And now she's going to Brazil. But she's from Germany. So she goes home, you know. So, but she's always, I mean, she works. She says, but Tracy, I didn't get like this overnight. Before I ever started doing anything, I planned. I created and put things in place. And so she says, the way I do my life now is I work with these 3 days for things that are pertinent to business, income generating things. And then she says, I take 3 days off and I don't do any of these things unless something comes up and I really have to. But she says, because this way, she says she discovered that she could get done so much more in the 3 days than when she tried to stretch it out over 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
And so because then you'll find that, oh my God, I've got this list of stuff. Where do I start? Da, 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 da. So I think you just said that beautifully. You have a situation where you can actually go and be with your children. So, you know, whether that you split up the days, half a day or whatever, I like that because it's like, gee, if I have this many days doing this, then I could take care of things around here, you know, the house, the office, whatever. And then the other days, it's like, I'm just ultra focused on whatever it is that I'm doing for whatever one of my businesses is. So, and that's lets us create that life that we want. So we get off the instant merry-go-round and really think about what is important in your life. I mean, do you want to, you know, like you said, you don't have to go on the beach, the lake house. I just want to be able to travel to different places. And I don't have the upkeep on the house because let me tell you, it's like, oh, I want to have this really big house. I'm like, really? Well, let me tell you, you ever replaced a roof on one of those suckers? And the flooring, I mean, you know, I could tell you, we bought a house one time. This was another one of our, we didn't really need that big old house. Oh, girl. I mean, it'll suck you dry.
Yeah.
So it's like you can enjoy life, but you just have to think what's important. And you know what? Many times you don't need as much money as you think you need.
Yeah.
You could say, you know, by the time I do some of the stuff I want and the things I actually need, you know what? This would be more around this. And then you start relaxing a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I've also gotten really streamlined in what I spend for my business, like just paying attention and being a little more budget minded, I guess, about because you know they say like, oh, you got to spend money to make money, and I feel like I kind of had that mindset in the beginning, and I was just like buying. This
and you
you
spending the money, and you know they need to be sending me checks back, and they're not. I'm doing and I'm glad to see you. Super great minds think alike. I'm telling you. Now I've started looking at recurring charges for things too, and I'm like, and that brings another point. If it doesn't serve you, no matter what anybody says, no matter how wonderful it is, if it doesn't serve you, don't keep it. If it's costing you money, say sayonara, say goodbye, arrivederci.
Yeah.
You know,
well, all those little ones add up. You know, you pay a little bit for Zoom, you pay a little bit for Calendly, you pay a little bit for and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm spending a lot and I'm not even using some of these tools, even though it's like, oh, you got to have this tool to do this, you know, like, no, I don't.
Yeah. And, you know, this one, I'm like, we're on StreamYard.
Yeah.
Anybody know, but it lets you stream to multiple destinations at once, which is pretty cool.
That's so cool.
But,
and it's something you do. You know what I mean? To be honest, I had StreamYard at the beginning of my business and I wasn't going live with anybody. So I was like, why do I have this? like you use it. So I think it's great for you. But if you're not going live.
Which you don't have to. I mean, there's other ways to do things, but I'm with you. You know, you don't have to spend money on things because people tell you. So I think, okay, so we can wrap this up by saying, one, you have to give yourself permission to be you. Yes. Do things that are authentic to you. Like when you go to Deanna's webpage, you're going to say, oh my goodness, this is this woman inside and out. I mean, she is her business. This came out of who she is. You can see that it's authentic. You see that it's her. And that's so fantastic. But, you know, you have to be authentically you, be honest about what you need and really want. And you'll find that you don't need to make, you know, all this over here and have this pressure on you, because then when you don't get to it for whatever reason, you feel like, oh, I failed. And then if you did, then so many times people look back and go, gee, I missed a lot of stuff. I might have even sacrificed my health. I'm a nervous wreck.
Mhm.
And so you could have this, and it's like you lose. You just gotta take your time
Yeah.
and really think about what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then you'll avoid a lot of these pitfalls, because you'll start to go, okay, no, this guy's trying to speed me up and spend my money. You got to go.
Yes. X
Hit
right
the
out of that
road,
window.
Jack, and don't
Yeah,
come back.
exactly.
Okay, so what's one big tip before we wrap up today? We've shared a lot of things with people, but what is one thing that we could do? What's one thing that people could start doing today? What new mindset could they adapt? What is a good thing to start doing today to help them get on the right track?
I think honestly, like sitting down and just looking at what you have spent might be a wake up call for some people, because there might be people thinking, maybe I struggle with this, but it's not a big deal. Like for me, I wasn't really keeping track of that kind of stuff. I was just thinking, I'm investing in my future. So maybe even just sitting down and being like, getting real with yourself about what you've bought, and also thinking about what makes you want to buy something, so that you're kind of aware when you start feeling like, if it is FOMO that gets you, or if it is feeling pressure like I have to decide now that gets you. When you figure out what your like own triggers are for what are making you purchase things, then I think you can start to be like, okay, this is getting me. Like when you're kind of aware of what gets you, then you'll on a sales page be like, okay, I'm feeling that feeling. Let me reflect. So I think looking honestly at what you've been spending and thinking about why you've spent the money you've spent, without, like we said before, without feeling any shame around it, because it's all working the way it's designed to work. Like you didn't do anything wrong. It just, that's the way it's supposed to work. But moving forward, kind of being a little wiser when you go onto those sales pages.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That is fantastic advice. It has been so great having you today, Deanna. Thank you
This is
so
so
much
fun.
for your time. We hope everybody got a lot out of this session. And we want to wish you a very, very good afternoon and day. And
Yes.
Deanna, thank you again.
Thank you so much for having
And
me.
with that, we are going to end the broadcast.
Yay.
Bye bye. Okay, ending.